Welcome to RealCast, the weekly roundup of the real asset markets. My name's Richard Betts, and I'm joined by Paul Strome and Dan Innes. Lots of news in the market over the past week, including Azora investing 148 million euros in a sale-and-leaseback deal on two flagship hotels in the Algarve as they target Europe's sun and beach hotel market. Dan, what have you been following?
Well, I mean, the market's continuing during this interesting time of the year, what most of us we used to consider the start of the summer holiday months, but still deals are still coming through. I mean, and activity in the marketplace is still buzzing, really. I mean, we saw at an event, New River Retail REIT's chief exec, Alan Lockhart, speaking really positively about the future in a balanced way, but about the balance with retail and other sectors. I mean, they recently reported their full year 21 results, which he says, they outperformed the market operationally, but they increased their cash position and praised the incredible hard work of their asset management team throughout the year. On the market deals that I was talking about this week, it's Ardent hitting the headlines, and having acquired 1.4 million square feet of industrial back in March from M7, it's no secret that Ardent have been on the hunt for other opportunities around the UK. And last week they announced that they'd completed on the acquisition of Touchwood Shopping Centre in Solihull from Lend-Lease, and that's a significantly sized shopping centre at 650,000 square feet. They've also confirmed their professional team and asset management team led by Sovereign Centros, and also joint leasing agents with Cushman and Wakefield and Knight Frank. Together, they're going to be putting a new asset management plan, which they've dubbed Project Atlanta, together. That is going to look at various areas of opportunity to build value. Solihull itself is an affluent suburb south of Birmingham. It's a high footfall location. They've got some really good regional investment initiatives from the local authority there, includes benefiting from things like the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games, of which about half of those events in the Commonwealth Games are actually hosted within the Solihull borough. So, expect to hear a little bit more about them. And then sticking with retail, but hopping over the Atlantic, a name that will be familiar to many people, Neiman Marcus. They actually filed for bankruptcy last year, and the luxury US department store owner is now making a $500 million bet that they can invest in some technology that could turn its fortunes around. They plan to spend the money over the next 3 years on new technology. And I don't know if you remember, but Neiman Marcus actually acquired a new software group called Stylize back in June, which includes a lot of machine learning to actually make outfit recommendations for customers that they've looked at or purchased in the past. Neiman Marcus has worked with Stylize since 2018, but now they've integrated it and acquired it and brought it into their stable to help make improvements to its balance sheet and to bring in extra value and stand out for them. They've cancelled more than $4 billion of its debt. They were $5 billion in debt, but they've managed to do that by restructuring. They've given more control to their creditors, but they permanently closed most of their off-price last call centres and its new Hudson Yards store as well, which many people watching this will have visited before. And they reopened all 43 Neiman Marcus stores and 2 Bergdorf Goodman stores. So, there's been some major changes at Neiman Marcus, and so far things seem to be moving in a very positive direction for them. And then elsewhere in the life sciences sector, Morgan Stanley have exploited quite an attractive investment opportunity by buying 101 Cambridge Science Park from LaSalle for just over £50 million. That's a 3-floor 79,000 square foot office, comes in with a very good BREEAM rating, solar panels on the roof, etc. It's located on one of Europe's most established and successful science parks already, but it's currently let to 4 leading businesses. It's providing them with quite a diverse and secure income stream, including companies like Citrix, Huawei, and Grant Thornton. And lastly, of course, this week we've seen the Olympics kicking off. So there's a lovely article in Dezeen that summarizes some of the best architecture at the Games. There's so many amazingly beautiful venues at the Olympics that we always see in different cities around the world. And in Tokyo, this includes buildings by Japanese architects Kengo Kuma, Kenzo Tange, and Fumihiko Maki. And of course, the centerpiece of all of that is the 68,000 seat Japan National Stadium, which of course I think will have been on most people's television screens this week, and you'll see a lot more of.
Yes, good to see a positive story coming from the Tokyo Games. In terms of the UK, I noticed that Burberry, after posting encouraging results last week, announced they were opening a flagship store at number 1 Sloane Street in London. So another positive story there on the retail side. On the logistics side, GLP announced plans for significant spec development in the UK, with Bruce Topley, GLP's UK Managing Director, seeing continued strong customer demand for Grade A sustainable warehouse space. Paul, what have you been following?
Logistics in France, it's a desirable logistics market to be in, with rapidly increasing e-commerce penetration, large markets, lots of tenant demand, but quite a long-winded permitting process that restricts supply. However, there's been a lot of recent activity featuring Hines, Bentel Green Oak and Clarion Partners Europe. Hines has acquired 11 logistics assets in France from retail group Auchan in a sale-and-leaseback deal for one of its funds. The portfolio has total space of 350,000 square metres, was bought on behalf of Hines European Value Fund 2. Fund manager Paul White said that the French logistic market is expected to benefit from strong fundamentals with rising demand, partly driven by accelerated trends and changing consumer behaviour. Meanwhile, investment manager Bentel Green Oak has acquired a site in the Angers region where it will build a 25,000 square metre logistics facility. The firm said the deal bolsters its position in the French logistics market, where it's invested 700 million euros since 2017. And Clarion Partners Europe is making progress leasing up a recently completed 70,000 square metres facility in northern France, in what the firm said is one of the largest lettings in the French logistics market in 2021. It's progressing with a 180,000 square metre development pipeline in France, which it describes as a critically undersupplied market. Sticking with France, asset manager La Française Real Estate Managers and Vinci Immobilier have formed a partnership to source a large volume of residential rental assets in France. They want to source 500 housing units per year over 2 years, and that includes vacant housing units, residences managed by Vinci Immobilier. And La Française is keen to accelerate its expansion in the rented residential property market, it says. They'll target residential in the wider sense, and they're including family housing, student housing, senior housing and co-living assets, mostly in Ile-de-France, but also major regional French cities. Lastly, is following on from the story we mentioned last week about Cromwell's Wooden Buildings Fund, AXA IM Alts has bought a site in Munich where it wants to develop a 185 million euro substantially timber office building. It will use sustainably sourced wood to build a timber frame around a concrete core. Advantages are that it ticks the ESG box, the building will be substantially recyclable, and timber enables a high proportion of off-site manufacture, resulting in shorter and more efficient construction timetables. So hopefully that's one we'll be able to see at a future Expo Real.
That focus on wood is really interesting, I think. And on the ESG side, I noticed Kegal hiring Suzanne Martilla and relaunching its infrastructure asset classes as sustainable infrastructure with a refocus on energy transition. And CBRE Global Investors appointing Henning Gerfel as head of global sustainability and innovation. And Chuck Leitner, CEO for CBRE Global Investors, highlighting the vast opportunities within the real assets sector with purpose and alpha in equal measure. And that topic also came up in your conversation, Dan, with Alan Lockhart. And thanks for organising the event. It was great to actually be able to meet people in person again after such a long time. Also hear from Polly Barnfield, founder of Maybe, as well as the team at Mapic. And congratulations to Inesco on your 12th birthday. We're definitely looking forward to more live events going forward. And certainly, Paul, looking forward to being at Expo Real again with the International Investors Lounge. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week for our regular roundup of the week in real assets.